You know that feeling when you grab a bargain-priced welder online, set it up in the garage, and then realize you're spending more time tweaking the settings than actually welding? Cheap alternatives often promise all-in-one, but end up being a one-track mind that leaves you frustrated after the first job. That's why I wanted to see if the Multimatic 235 multiprocess from Miller Store actually lives up to the hype, or if it's just another overpriced gimmick. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the hesitation most people have with a machine like this isn't about the price tag. It's about the risk of buying the wrong tool for the job. Multiprocess welders sit in a sweet spot between the single-process rigs you might have in a hobbyist shed and the massive, industrial-grade units that dominate a full-scale shop floor. If you're a contractor who hops between sites, a serious DIYer who likes to dabble in MIG, TIG, and stick, or someone who needs a welder that can run off a generator on a job trailer, you're exactly the audience this machine was designed for. If you run a production line that needs continuous 300 amp output, you'll quickly find the 235 amp rating limiting. What makes the Multimatic 235 stand out is its versatility. The unit can switch between MIG, TIG, and stick welding without swapping out the core power module. In practice, that means you can start a fence repair with stick welding on a rusty rebar, flip a switch, and finish a thin-walled aluminum bracket using MIG, all in the same afternoon. The Auto Set Elite feature takes the guesswork out of those transitions. You simply select the process, input the material thickness, and the welder automatically adjusts the voltage, amperage, and wire feed speed. I've seen a lot of newcomers to welding waste hours fiddling with DLN settings. This AutoSet saves them from that learning curve and reduces the chance of a weak joint because of a wrong parameter. Portability is another real-world benefit. At 63 pounds, the Multimatic 235 is light enough to carry up a ladder or load onto a small pickup, yet it still feels solid on the workbench. I've taken it to a backyard renovation where the only power source was a 5 kilowatts portable generator. Because the unit is generator compatible, it ran cleanly without tripping the generator circuit breaker, something many heavier welders can't promise. The optional Easy Latch running gear, which slides into place like a quick change magazine, cuts down the time you spend rethreading wire or swapping torches. For someone who's moving from job to job, those minutes add up. Now, let's talk about the practical downsides. The first thing I noticed is the duty cycle. It's solid for a 235 amp machine, but if you push it to the upper end of the amperage for prolonged periods, you'll see the fan kicking in and the unit cooling down after about 10 minutes of continuous weld. In a workshop where you're welding a series of structural beams, you might need to pause more often than you'd like. The weight, while manageable for most mobile scenarios, is still enough that you'll need a sturdy hand truck if you're transporting it upstairs or loading it into a cramped van. And because it's a multi-process platform, you won't get the ultra-fine control that a dedicated high-end TIG machine offers. The AutoSet algorithm is great for most jobs, but can feel a bit generic when you're trying to push the limits on thin-sheet aluminum. Who should buy this? If you're a freelance fabricator who needs to handle a variety of metals, steel for a custom gate, aluminum for a trailer roof, stainless for a kitchen exhaust, the Multimatic 235 gives you the flexibility to do it all without buying 3 separate welders. It's also a solid choice for a small automotive shop that occasionally does bodywork, MIG, chassis repair, stick, and custom exhaust piping, TIG. The fact that it works off a generator means you can take it to remote sites, farms, or even a friend's garage where the main panel is already maxed out. Who should skip it? Large industrial shops that run multiple welders simultaneously, or anyone whose daily workflow relies on a 300 amp or higher output, will find the 235 amp ceiling restrictive. If you specialize exclusively in high-precision TIG work on aerospace-grade alloys, a dedicated TIG machine with finer waveform control will serve you better. Also, if you're looking for a set-it-and-forget-it unit that never needs a pause, the duty cycle limitation might be a deal-breaker. In terms of value, the Multimatic 235 packs 3 processes, AutoSet intelligence, and generator compatibility into a package that's still under 70 pounds. When you compare that to buying a MIG, a TIG, and a stick welder separately, each of which can easily cost as much as this single unit, the cost efficiency becomes clear. The optional Easy Latch gear, while an extra expense, pays for itself after a few job changes because you no longer waste time rethreading or swapping torches. The trade-off is that you're accepting a